This is a CE5 session that took place at Horsepen Wildlife Management Area in Buckingham, Virginia. It took place on December 2nd, 2018 from approximately 4 o'clock p.m. until 9:30 p.m. So here's some technical stuff just in case you're interested. The most important bullet out of all of these is the second one, that our setup was followed by a playing of crop circle tones and a field meditation. These are resources for CE5 sessions that are available from Dr. Stephen Greer. You can find them on SeriousDisclosure.com/apps, and you can go to an app store and download them. If you want to read the rest of this, be my guest, you might want to hit the pause button. The following is a series of 4 video clips that we pulled from the overall 5 hours or so of recording. We've trimmed them down so that you don't have to watch a whole lot of extraneous stuff. We've slowed most of them down and we've given explanations on them so you can see what we're seeing. Video clip number 1. This clip is only 7 seconds long. At the time I had my camera set to record only 7 seconds after taking an initial still picture. I've since extended that recording time to the maximum that my cameras will allow, which is 30 seconds of video. And the reason I did that was because I found out that I was missing stuff, which was kind of disappointing. When I started reviewing things, I realized I could have gotten more had I had a longer recording time. So that's me over to the right. I've got my flashlight, which is unusual. Usually I work completely in the dark. However, occasionally there will be enough noise going on in the woods around me that being alone in the dark in the wilderness, sometimes you go, and so I picked my flashlight up just to check. My dog was there with me, Jack. And although he is very protective and very territorial, what I've found is that when there are noises attributable to something other than humans or animals, he doesn't bark. And if it was an animal, he would be going nuts. So that's usually a good indicator for me that there's something there other than a normal terrestrial human or animal form. And at this time, he was not barking. He was just looking attentively into the woods. Still, the noises were loud enough and went on long enough. I decided to pick up my flashlight and check it out. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to play the clip for you at full speed, and then we'll slow it down a little bit, and we'll talk about what's going on. So I've trimmed this down to where it's just the section where the activity takes place, and I've got it paused right now. I also slowed it dramatically so that you could see what's going on. And what it is there's going to be an energy signature that comes in, kind of arcs down right into here, solidifies in this area, but the trajectory continues down towards the ground. So I'm going to play that for you right now, and I'll pause it again. So there that is. For reference, here's my flashlight, of course. My face is right behind it. This is the hood of my jacket. And this, to me, appears very, very much like the bearded face of a man. You can see a fairly large beard, a mustache, nose, eyes, the whole 9 yards. And what's interesting is that this is not the first time that I have captured this face. So this guy's been around. I've got him on a couple of other things, and I think he's here for a reason. We're not going to go into that right now. We'll do that in a later video. But the thing that's priceless about this clip is the location of this. Like I said, this is my hood, which means that you can see this is behind my hood. And anybody that's ever done any type of investigation of this type of thing knows that if you get a piece of evidence that's like out in an area like this where there's no points of reference, it's really, really, really hard sometimes to prove that it's not a bug or that it's not a speck of dust that got too close to the lens and therefore it's moving. It looks like it's moving fast and it looks like it's bigger than it is. When you have a point of reference like this, though, that rules out all of that. This is my hood. This is behind my hood. Therefore, this is real. This is not a bug. It's not a speck of dust. This is real. The other interesting thing about it is you can see that his face is almost exactly the same size as my face. Proportionately, this is very accurate. As I said, this appears to be the trajectory. It came in really quick, solidified, is getting ready to go right back out again. This takes place in a split second in real time. I'd also like to point out that this is, of course, a CE5 session. This is not random. This is not me out in the woods just stomping around and I did this by accident. This is deliberate. This is a CE5 session, which of course stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And if you're not familiar with what that is, in a nutshell, it is a close encounter that is deliberately initiated by humans for the purpose of contact and communication. So this is deliberate. I'd also like to point out that this is on the ground. There is a lot of CE5 information out there on YouTube and the internet and everything right now, and I'm really glad to see that because we need this. Most of it, though, it's videos of things that are in the sky, and that's not a bad thing. Definitely not. That says they're here and they're responding. The majority of my stuff is on the ground. I do have a few pieces, a few videos that show things in the sky. One of those is titled CE5 Session, Hawks View, Buckingham County, on December 24th, 2018. That one's a really good clip, but it's one of the few where I have something that is shot in the sky. The majority of what I have is like this. It's on the ground. Everything in this particular video, of course, is on the ground. And I think that's great because they're not remotely way up in the air where we can't make contact with them. They're coming down here on the ground and they're responding to our requests, which is absolutely wonderful. Okay, so this is our second video clip from the evening of December 2nd, 2018. And as you can see in this still, up there in the left-hand corner, there is what appears to be what some people would call a skyfish. Now, I know, as well as most, that these entities are very often discounted as being bugs. Specifically things like moths and stuff like that that have a fairly large wingspan, that have fairly large wings, that move erratically and quickly. And the theory is that cameras, certain ones, especially cameras like what I'm using here, which is just a plain old game cam, they just don't have the capability to be able to track fast enough to be able to see these things, if they were bugs, as individual wing strokes. So the camera does the best that it can to see what's there, but it falls short of that, and what you end up with is this streak that almost looks like an auger of some sort that's flying through the air. Some people call them skyfish, other people call them rods or sky rods, and then other people just say, you're out of your flipping mind, it's a friggin' bug. And personally, I'm on the fence. Sometimes I have seen some of these that look like maybe they are bugs. Other times I see them and I'm like, there's no way that's a bug. This one, I'm not sure. I'm including it because I find it interesting. Towards the latter part of the clip, it does something that I also find interesting, and I'll point that out to you. But for right now, let's play at full speed. It's about 7 seconds, and see what you think. All right, here we go. We're going to slow it down a little bit so you can see it a little better. Moving forward, a little faster than frame by frame. Shoots up towards the top, comes back down and around again, and then straight for the camera before going off screen. I'm going to stop right there. And in fact, I'm going to back it up just a little bit so we can get a good look at it. You can see very clearly what I was talking about when I referenced it looking something like an auger. I don't see it. I don't see a tail. I don't see individual wings. I don't see antenna, anything like that. Does it move like a bug? Yeah, maybe. It's kind of erratic. Like I said, I'm totally on the fence with this one. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I just find it interesting. So if we go forward a little more, you'll see that that's me that kind of comes out of the corner, left-hand corner of the screen there. You see me moving around a little bit. Here I come. I'm going to walk out. Keep in mind this is totally pitch black. This light that's being emanated is from the game cam. It's infrared. I can't see. I can't see it. I've been in the dark long enough that I can see vague shapes, so I'm not tripping over anything or running into anything, but it's pretty much pitch black. So as I walk forward here, watching this area right here, this is the second half of what I mentioned before that I thought was interesting. If you watch, you'll see that this skyfish slash bug reappears. It's right there. Comes out from over here, although it's not recorded. I'm making an assumption that it comes out from that side because that seems to be the trajectory that it's on. And it's in front of me, and it continues. You can see there's that auger shape that it makes. Moves forward, keeps moving forward, and disappears into the wood line. The bad thing is that when it gets to this tree right here, it goes in front of the tree rather than behind the tree. If it had gone behind the tree, that would have given us a much better point of reference for size and location. We know it's past my location. We know it's out in here somewhere, but we don't know how far out in there it is. So this could be much closer to me than what it appears to be. It could be very far away like it appears to be. I don't know. I've got one other clip of one of these things, and you can see it continues to move until it pretty much disappears into the darkness. And there's really no reference of it going behind anything except for when it went behind me. And I wish it had. It would have made this easier to prove or disprove, but it is what it is. So let's move on to our next clip. As I mentioned in the previous clip, I had another one that showed another one of these skyfish, quote unquote, and this is it. You can see that it's actually already in the frame when the video starts. It's right here. I'm assuming that its movement is what triggered the camera to record. This is Jack right here. That's his butt. That's his tail. He was moving around some, so it could have been him. Doesn't really matter, I guess. At this point, it was a little bit after 8 o'clock in the evening, and you'll notice that this truck was not in the other clips. This is my Jeep right here reflecting from the IR light from the camera that's been in there and all the other clips. This is new, and these folks are friends of mine locally, and they knew I was out, and so they came in to sit with me for the latter part of the session. They got there about 8 o'clock, and we were there until about 9:30 or so when we finally left. So this clip is very much like the previous one. I am on the fence with this. I'm not saying it is something supernatural or that it is a bug. What I do find interesting is that if this is a bug, it is a completely different kind of bug from the other one. The other one was very elongated, had a lot of that auger thing going on, a lot of those fins. This one is very, very short. And again, when you see the clip, which again is about 7 seconds in length, and it's only in the first couple of seconds, it just doesn't look like a bug. I don't know. So I'm going to play it for you. And again, you decide. All right, here we go. I'm going to move it forward for you, frame by frame. It was in the clip only for a couple seconds, so it's not a very long duration. Again, it is much fatter, shorter and fatter than the other one that was recorded. And if you watch, it also takes on a real interesting shape as it moves. It seems to almost spiral around itself or something, and then it's gone. So I'm going to move it back to the beginning, and we'll look at it one more time. Keep in mind that this was December the 2nd. It was unseasonably warm for this particular evening. The temperature was about 43, 44 degrees while we were out. But it was very cold because we're right on the edge of a big reservoir, and so the air is very, very damp, and it feels much colder than what the actual temperature is. And so that's why in some of these videos you see me walking around bundled up like the Michelin Man, with a big coat, and actually have bibs on too, and a hat, because even though it was unseasonably warm for the first part of December, it was still very cold to be there in that damp air. Because it was December, that kind of puts the kibosh, at least partially, on the bug theory. Even though it was warm this particular evening, we had experienced some very cold temperatures prior to that here in Central Virginia, and the bugs were basically gone. They had been killed off, or they were dormant for the next part of the winter, and we didn't see any bugs. Most of the time when I'm out, I'll actually see bugs if it's warm, and I know. I'm like, okay, I make a mental note, bugs going across in front of me. I know that's, when I see that on the screen, I'll know what that is. There weren't any bugs that we could see. And granted, it was dark at this point, and we weren't seeing much of anything. But prior to that, at dusk, I didn't see any. So let's move this forward a little bit and watch that again. The way that it kind of curls around itself. There's one particular frame, I think it's this one, maybe that one, where it almost looks as though it's a bat. Again, it's the wrong time of year for bats. There's nothing for them to eat in December here in Virginia. They're not going to be out a whole lot. They eat bugs. There weren't a whole lot of bugs. So I don't know what this is. I find it interesting though, so that's why I included it. Alrighty, so this is the last clip I'm going to include from our session on December 2nd, 2018. This clip was recorded at about 20 minutes after 8 that evening. Excuse me. And in this still, you can see Jack, my constant companion, right there. My Jeep, again, is right here. My friend's truck is right here. And this clip, unfortunately, the camera was still set to record for only 7 seconds. We may have gotten more if I had had it set to record longer, but this is still an amazing clip. I think this is probably my favorite from the evening because there is just some incredible stuff going on here. And when we start the clip, watch this area. This is where it comes from, and you're going to see it come out into here and kind of do this thing, and then shoo off to the side. So let's get that started. Full speed, only about 7 seconds, and then we'll slow it down a little. Alright, so let's slow this down and look at it a little closer. Again, pay attention to this area over here. This is where it comes from. If you notice, that's exactly where Jack is looking. And as I mentioned in one of the previous clips, that is his attentive stance when there's movement or noise or footsteps that's evident but doesn't appear to be associated with an animal or another physical human being. So he's just kind of looking over there. You can't see us. We are actually sitting in 2 folding chairs right here. And Jack is like, hey, there is something going on over there. So let's move that forward a little, frame by frame. And here it comes out of the side. See a little blinking light right there. See it? It's coming up out of this corner right here. Comes across, goes right in front of Jack, right across his face. Continues zipping along, streaks around a little bit, and then does this amazing, almost cartoon-like thing where it like gathers speed and then is gone. Now, I'm going to back it up a little bit because there's something going on here that I didn't notice the first time that I saw this clip. And if I run it fast like that, you can probably see it. Watch in this area right here. This is actually physically casting a light on the ground. Across Jack, across the ground, excuse me, out into the field, and then when it's gone, the light goes with it. Much like the first clip, where the face came in beside my head, this is one of those things that makes this definitive. This is not a bug. It's December. The only bug that we have in Central Virginia that is bioluminescent, that can cast its own light, are fireflies. Fireflies don't get fired up here until the latter part of May, the first part of June. And even then, they don't have directional beams. They don't cast their light on the ground. They just flash at each other. So this is absolutely fascinating. This is physically on the ground, almost like a search beam. And I'm not sure exactly what the purpose was, but Jack knows it's there. And if you watch, as it's making its way around, watch his head. It begins to turn. He knows it's there. I'm not sure if he could physically see it or if he just sensed it, but he definitely knew that it was there. And like I said, this is one of my favorite clips of the evening because this light is just amazing. This thing is like dancing. I'm running it backwards right now, by the way, just in case it gets confusing. There it comes again, one more time. Cross Jack, gets out into here, and then you start to see that light right here. That light starts coming in. Goes across Jack, starts going across the grass out in here, and then goes way out in here, way out in the field, and then when it does the cartoon move and streaks off screen, the light goes with it. So thanks for watching. There's a little bit of more info that I'm including on the back end of this video. We'd love it if you would watch and listen to that because it's got some information about who we are at We Own the Light and what we do and what our hopes are for the future. And it gives you some contact information. So again, thanks for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe and contact us if you have any questions. I chose these clips from the dozen or so that we gathered during this particular session because they represented typical events which normally occur during our CE5 sessions. All of these clips basically show the same thing, the energetic signature or form of intelligent beings who were generous enough to make the effort to manifest and attempt to communicate simply because we requested it. If you're not familiar with what a CE5 session is, the abbreviation stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. This is the only type of extraterrestrial contact which is deliberately initiated by human beings for the purpose of building relationships with non-terrestrial beings for the purpose of communication, the acquisition of knowledge, and the betterment of our planet and our society. The ultimate goal of these efforts is the eradication of the current status quo of hatred, fear, and separation which has been in place for far too long. Our current state of existence is not sustainable. We are destroying our planet and ourselves. There is a better way. We can learn from those who have been where we are and managed to evolve past it, if we're only willing to make the effort to do so. We are some of the ones who are willing to do so without question. You can do this too. Anyone can. All it takes is willingness to push back against the status quo with fearlessness and to not be afraid of the unknown. We Own the Light is dedicated to the enrichment and evolution of humanity's spirituality, and we're in direct opposition to the fear-mongering and secrecy that fosters society's current state of hatred and separation. We work toward this through showing others the energetic connectivity between all things, including those which have been traditionally feared or thought of as being dangerous, especially extraterrestrial beings. I once heard Dr. Stephen Greer say, "They might own the night, but we own the light." And for those of us willing to do whatever it takes to be a cog in the wheel that crushes the current societal and political state to smithereens, no truer statement has ever been uttered. This channel, our website, and all of our efforts, past, present, and future, are dedicated to this cause, and we are indebted to Dr. Greer for his tireless pursuit of the same. As St. Francis of Assisi was quoted to say, "All of the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light from a single candle." And he was so right. We have no fear of the darkness because we own the light. Do you have the courage to own your light? We think you do.